For this tutorial, I will play a guitar by the Korean builder Woon San Lee. It's this beautiful guitar with this nice maple in the back, and the guitar is for sale at GSI, Guitar Salon International, and I would like to thank our friends at GSI for letting me play this guitar for the entire tutorial. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you. So this piece is entirely based on a technique we call tremolo. And tremolo means we play with all 4 fingers, like P, A, M, I, and we alter them a certain way, and it's always the same way. So we always play the thumb, and then A, M, and I. And usually the thumb, in that kind of piece, the thumb is not on the same string as the fingers. So the fingers always play on the E string or on the B string, and the thumb usually takes an arpeggio. So in this piece that's what the thumb plays, arpeggio. And the fingers always come in with this melody note, and this is always the same melody note. And then we switch to a different chord. And that's how we alter the notes we play. So it's really just like we usually hold a chord down and just play this technique in the right hand. So the chords itself are like sometimes more hard than others. We will go through them all, of course. And the technique always stays the same. So you can really play around with this technique. And you can also practice it without the tremolo. So that's actually what we're going to do. We're like not practicing it with the tremolo right now because it's going to be a little bit too many notes at the same time. So I will play just one of the notes on top and the thumb notes. And I will just always pluck them with my A finger. When you practice that at home, I recommend just practicing with the A finger. And then later when you get the tremolo ready and it's all ready to go, then you just add the tremolo. But you shouldn't learn the notes by just adding the tremolo all the time. It will be just confusing, it will be very exhausting for your right hand. It's just easier to learn it, just the notes, just the chord itself, and then you practice the tremolos separately and then put it together. That's just the way to go and really make it a little easier for you to learn. So now let's get started with the first measure. So the first 2 measures actually have no tremolo in it. So it's just the thumb, or what I do, I play thumb, thumb, index, index, and then thumb, thumb. I just want to get the best sound as possible in those couple notes. They just come by themselves. There's no tremolo in there yet. So I'll just get a better sound with my index finger on the G string. If you feel like you want to prepare and play everything with your thumb, and you feel like that's better for the preparation to play the whole piece with tremolo, then of course you're welcome to do that. I just like my index finger here to get a better sound. So the notes are just, it's an E. We are like in 9th position here, and then we start with a low E. The piece is in E minor, so then we have this B here, that's the 9th fret on the 4th string, and the G, 2 Gs, back to B, and then another low E, and then our first finger just shifts up to the C on the 10th fret. Then there was a little intro. That's a little intro. It's just 2 measures, and you can already put your pinky here on this high E, because that's the tremolo. When the tremolo starts, it starts with this E here on the 12th fret. So you might want to have your pinky there if you feel like this is tensing. This is like exhausting for your hand, just don't do it. It doesn't matter. Just the beginning with the little intro, 2 measures. So now the tremolo starts. So now we need this pinky. Now we just add the tremolo and essentially play the first measure. So this is measure 3 after the intro, but the thumb just does the same thing. And we just add the tremolo. Then in measure 4 we have a big shift. And need this chord. So we are in the 3rd position, bar. The tremolo notes, so the fingers play a high G on the 1st string. So you just bar the 3rd fret. And you don't need to worry about pressing down all strings, but press down the 1st string and the 6th string. And then put your 2nd finger on the 4th fret on the 3rd string on this B, and the pinky goes on the E here on the 5th fret. I use the pinky instead of the 3rd finger just because it's more relaxed, and I can really relax my hand. There will be a lot of bar chords in this piece, so you really want to keep your power and keep being relaxed as long as possible, because there will be moments where you just can't be relaxed and you really have to press. And you will need a lot of power. So in this moment I don't, so I'll just save up all my energy for later. And so measure number 4 would be now I just lift the bar and I do this hinge bar here. So I just lift my 1st finger. I still have my 1st finger pressed down this G here, and I play the same thing, well, almost the same thing. So I go, now we have an A in the bass. The high note, like the tremolo note, is still this G, so keep this finger down, and instead of the 2nd finger on the B here, we add the 3rd finger on the 5th fret. So we have a C and a E, both on the 5th fret. And then that's measure number 5. So we come from measure 4, we come from this bar. Now I lift the bar, but not the entire bar, just the tip, so that I don't have to press all the way. Then I have an open A, add my 3rd finger on the 5th string, and then I use the open A in measure 6, it's just the open 5th string, and open my hand up to get my 1st finger. It's still like this kind of, I'm still not pressing with the tip of my finger, I'm just pressing with this bar, but I'm not using the whole energy. I'm really just pressing with the side here. So instead of all the notes stay the same, but the melody note, like the tremolo note, shifts to the 2nd fret. So you really have to open up your hand, and that's measure 6. So from measure 5, it's the same fingers and everything, just shift back. Now we have a slightly different chord in measure 7. Our 1st finger goes down, and you really can just curl it. That's it. You don't have to really move it that much. If you see what I'm doing here with my 1st finger, I really just curl it from this hinge bar, curl it down, and it finds the way to the C. The top note now is just the open E string, so we can relax, no bar, no tension in the hand. So we have the C in the bass, then always open E. The third finger goes on the 4th fret on this F sharp here, and the second finger goes on the A sharp. So it's like a D major chord, just like on different strings, and it doesn't sound like a D major chord, of course, but it's this idea of a chord. So remember, for the D major chord, if you try to play it like with your hand being parallel to the fretboard, it's like really uncomfortable. But as soon as you like move it a little bit to the side, pivot to the side, it will be all comfortable. And that same, you just move it on the A string and the 3rd fret, and that's it. It's the same chord. And it's also pretty relaxed coming from this chord in measure 6, which is not very relaxed because you have to open up the hand. It's a big stretch. I'm just going down with my first finger. My hand is already kind of tilted to the side, so don't move your hand too much. You just find your way and move your fingers very relaxed to this chord. Now measure 7. Now we move to this like somewhat B major chord here. So again, our first finger moves first because that's the bass. We are plucking the first finger first, so always move that one. And then, like, we don't need the second finger, so it's more relaxed, and we don't need the bar, but that's the note. So it's really just this B major chord. And this is also where the tremolo for the first time shifts to the second string. So before we had all fingers always plucking the high E string. Now for the B major, we need to shift down to the, just very short, just those, it's just one beat essentially. We are plucking the second string with the fingers. And that's it. Now we are already moving back, so it's all still measure 8. You start on the second string. Now it's a lot of open strings, but the bass note is a C sharp, so 4th fret. And then your fingers already moved back to the E. And then here it's an open B in the bass, and I really use the open B. You can, if you don't get a good sound on your B string with your thumb, you can use the 3rd finger and get the B on the 3rd string. I use the open string just to relax my hand. Again, I'll use every opportunity to relax my hand in this piece just because it's so long and it's exhausting for my hand. And we are just in measure 8, so don't waste energy here. So again, measure 8 is then B major. Second finger goes to the C sharp here. High E now. Open B string. Now we move down, just shift down to the first position. The good thing is about using the open strings, now you have time to shift down. It's all open here. So again, this is the last beat of measure 8. We have a D sharp here. Open B, shift up with your pinky, so you want to lift it a little bit. You can slide up, but it depends, it really depends on your guitar and also the way you hear this piece. I usually lift. I don't want to hear this slide. I don't want to hear like a glissando. I don't want to hear this. If you like that kind of sound in this music, which a lot of people do, then you, by all means, do it. I lift just a little bit so that I don't get the glissando, but I'm still sliding on the string. So don't lift your finger, don't jump up, you really slide up. And then we are essentially in the 3rd position. So your pinky is on the 5th fret, low E in the bass, this is measure 9. Then F sharp with with the second finger, then C twice and F sharp twice. So this measure 8 is a little different from the other measures because we have a lot of chord changes in between the measure. Usually we just, so far, measure 1 through 7, we had one chord shape for the whole measure, and you really can keep all the fingers down. And measure 8 was a little transition, so there was more movement. And then in measure 9 we are back to our one chord per measure idea. So this is our chord for measure 9. This is the bass line, and the tremolo just goes on A. So 5th fret. This is still a suspended chord. And the resolution comes in measure 10. So we have an E in the bass. Then our first finger goes on G. Our third finger goes on G, and the second finger goes on B. So we are really in the third position, holding this chord. The E in the bass makes it looks a little bit like a G major chord, but we have an E in bass and there's no D, so it's really an E minor chord. So this is the first time it relaxes a little bit since the beginning. So I would like to just play without the tremolo slowly from the top. And instead of playing tremolo, I just pluck my A finger once. Lift the bar, but not the whole bar, just the tip. And open the hand. Now the tip moves already. B major. And slide up. So those are the first 10 measures, the first idea. And one thing I haven't talked about is this big shift just right in the beginning, after the first tremolo measure. This shift goes all the way from the 9th position to the 3rd position, and there's not much time. We are playing so fast, we are playing tremolo all the time, so you don't have much time to shift. So a good idea here for a big shift like that is I'll take my elbow and move it up a little bit, so that I'm just kind of like snap my hand after, and like so that makes the shift a lot faster. Instead of just moving the hand up, I'll go ahead with my elbow and then bring my hand in the 3rd position, which is, I don't always do that with those kind of shifts, but in this case it's also, since the bar is there, I'm already pretty stable, and that just makes it a lot faster. So all I'm worrying about when I'm shifting is like getting my elbow ready and then getting the bass note ready. That's the most important thing, because in the worst case you can make a little break. That would be way too long, and you don't want to always do that when you have a shift. That happens a lot in this piece. We shift a lot, and it's an easy trick to get by those big shifts. And I do that sometimes. But I try not to overdo it, of course. But this is always a good opportunity to get your fingers set up ready. And yeah, get it as smooth as possible, but you always have the option to just play this note just a tiny little bit longer and then come in with a tremolo. And it still will flow nicely. So get your elbow up and then make sure you hit this G, get the bar down first, and then the other notes will follow. Other than that, it's the beginning is pretty manageable in terms of getting it smooth, and just keep moving your fingers ahead. So when you have an open bass string before the tremolo starts, that's the moment where you want to switch your chord. So you always play the bass note first and then switch to the next chord. That's why you get it really connected.